Welcome to week 7 of Explore the Bible. Today we continue in the book of Luke. We've jumped ahead from chapter 3 up to chapter 6. So we've skipped some of the calling of the disciples, the baptism, the temptations of Jesus, other things that are in those passages. Great passages. You all go read chapter 4 and 5. But we get here to chapter 6 and we're at what we call the Sermon on the Plain. Now, you've probably heard of the Sermon on the Mount. You may not realize there's also a Sermon on the Plain in the book of Luke. And that's where we are today as we jump into this passage starting at verse 27 of Luke chapter 6. So let's see what it says. It says, Jesus said, "But I say to you who listen, love your enemies, do what is good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. If anyone hits you on the cheek, offer the other also. If anyone takes away your coat, don't hold back your shirt either." Well, what a challenging passage, right? I mean, this is a great difficulty. Love your enemies right there. Now, I think it's worth pointing out that he starts out with, "But I say to you who listen." It's kind of an interesting statement, right? Because I can't say things to people who aren't listening because they're not going to hear them. But he is in essence saying not everybody who hears what I'm going to say is really listening and wants to listen with the idea of being obedient. And whenever the Lord talks about listening, he's always talking about listening with the concept of being obedient. So I'm saying to you who are listening with a desire to follow, those who are listening with a desire to be obedient to the Lord, love your enemies. Great challenge, isn't it? A great challenge to love your enemies, to love the people who hate you. And he talks really a lot about that in the rest of this passage. So let's kind of see how he fleshes that out. He starts with, do what is good to those who hate you. Here's a way that you love your enemy. Do the good thing to a person that hates you. To your enemy, do a good thing for them. This is not normal. This is not natural. This is not the way we by the flesh, just in our normal person, want to respond. Somebody hates us, somebody's our enemy, we're going to return to them, right? But he says, do good to those people. Do good to them. Bless them. The people that curse you, bless them. Don't return their curse with a curse. Give them a blessing. Pray for the Lord to bless them. He says, pray for those who mistreat you. Pray that God will bless them. Pray that their life will be fruitful unto the Lord. Pray for them. Pray for the people who mistreat you. He says, if they hit you on the cheek, offer the other. Here's the way you love your enemies. Turn the other cheek, which means that we don't respond initially. We don't just let our emotion kick back. You know, we want to come back. We want to get vengeance. Don't do that. Turn the other cheek. If they take your coat, which says don't hold back your shirt. Give them your shirt too. You know, offer to them, love them, treat them with love. So I really have to think about this. Is not just a trite statement. It's not just some kind of oh, that's a nice thing, love your enemies. He is being very purposeful here, saying, act in a loving way towards people who hate you. I'm not going to pretend this is easy. I'm not going to pretend that this is something that everybody can do. This is hard. Okay? This is following the Lord. Are you listening? Right? To you who listen, to those who really listen, how do we think about, contemplate, pray about, try to figure out, discuss ways to love people who hate you? How do we love them? How do we show them God's love? How do we not just show them that God loves them, but we love them? This is tough. This is a really difficult thing. And so he says, just as you want others to do for you, you do the same for them. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Sinners love those who love them. If you do what is good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. See, our response is like, no, well, if they love me, then I'll love them, right? But this is the golden rule, right? This is what Jesus says. You do unto others as you want them to do unto you, not do unto others as they have done unto you, but do unto them as you wish they would do for you. Let me tell you, if you are an enemy of God, if you're an enemy to God, if an enemy to Jesus, wouldn't you want a Christian to love you? Wouldn't you want somebody to share God's love with you? Wouldn't you want someone to share the gospel, the good news of salvation with you if you were lost? Do to them what you wish they would do for you. If I was in their situation, how would I wish they would treat me? Not, how have they treated me? Well, that's how I'm going to treat them. Don't be, and this is being proactive, not reactive, okay? I'm not going to react to what they do. I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to do things in spite of what they do. He says, look, the sinners love people that love them. Anybody can love somebody that loves them. Anybody can do a good deed for somebody that does a good deed for them. Anybody can give a gift to somebody who's already given a gift to them. The question is, can we do things for people who have done none of that, who have no desire to do that? In fact, who have done the opposite of that? Can we do good for them? Can we love them? This is the challenge of the gospel. You see, Christianity is not saying, well, just be a nice person and be a good person and treat people that treat you, you treat them well. No, Christianity is this above. It's calling us to a more noble life, to a higher life. This is the standard of Christianity, which is not like any other ethic in the world. Not like any other ethic in the world. It's completely different when Jesus calls us to that. He says, love your enemies. Do what is good. Lend, expect nothing in return. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High. For he is gracious to the ungrateful and evil. Be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful. This is the challenge, to love your enemies. And again, he lays it out. Do what is good. Lend to them, expecting nothing in return. In other words, you lend to them knowing I probably won't ever see it again. Okay? Don't be mad about it. Lend. If you're not willing to never see it again, then don't give. Okay? Lend to them, expecting nothing in return. Then your reward will be great. Then you will be children of the Most High. This is what children of the Most High God, this is how children of God live, right? For God is gracious to the ungrateful and the evil. Be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful. He is our example. How has he treated the ungrateful? How has God treated the evil? How has God treated the sinner, the person who has rebelled and hated him? What has he done for us? Now do that for others. You know, this what would Jesus do thing. Well, here's your answer, right? What he does is he's gracious to people who are ungrateful. He's gracious to people who are evil. This is how he lives. This is what he does. He's merciful to people who are hateful and angry, and people who are vengeful, people who are rebellious, people who have no intention of ever asking for forgiveness. He still offers mercy. Aren't you thankful for that? Man, I am. I'm thankful for that. So now we do that too. This is the standard the Lord calls us to. This is different than any other standard anywhere else. This is not the human way. This is not the way we do things naturally. And this is what God calls us to. This is what he has called us to. And then the most famous, popular verse in the world today. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not, really, this first part's really the only popular part. Do not judge. Right? Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Okay, this last phrase here in verse 38 is the key to understanding everything before it, okay? The measure you use, how you treat others, that's what's going to come back to you, okay? So don't judge them unjustly. Don't judge them in a way that is beyond your ability to judge, because that's how they're going to judge you and how they're going to treat you. So that's what this means when it says do not judge, because clearly the Lord speaks about making judgments about people and about things and about truth and about lies and about reality, about righteousness and unrighteousness. He clearly makes plenty of statements about making righteous judgments, but he is saying don't judge about things that you cannot know. Don't judge about in a way that you cannot know what the real truth is, okay? Because if you do, in that measure, it will be measured back to you. That's how you're going to receive it. Don't condemn people. Don't say, well, they don't have a chance. They'll never go to heaven. That's judging people, right? We can't judge them that way. Don't do that. Don't condemn them, and then you won't be condemned. But forgive people. You will be forgiven. Give, it will be given to you, right? This whole idea that you treat others the way you want to be treated. We're going back, right? We're going to go back here to this verse where he says, just as you want others to do for you, do the same for them. That's where we're going back to. If you don't want other people to judge you unjustly, if you don't want people to judge you for things that you have no control over, if you don't want people to judge you over things that they don't know anything about and they have no ability to rightly judge you, then don't judge them that way. Don't judge people in a way that you can't understand when you can't understand what they're going through. Just don't do it. And we are filled with this, right? We are filled with this. Don't condemn. Forgive people. Give to people. For the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Well, I hope this was helpful to you. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate you watching every week. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Facebook and all the other places. Okay, and thanks again. We'll see you next week. God bless.